President Muhammadu Buhari restates Nigeria's commitment to support re-establishing political stability in Benin Republic. National Economic Council meeting dedicates time to issues of security and education in the country. Farmers in Sokoto enjoined to embrace modern farming techniques for better yields. This and more on News Panorama this afternoon. I'm Dalhatu Abdullahi and welcome to NTA Sokoto Network Center. President Muhammadu Buhari has restated Nigeria's unwavering commitment towards supporting genuine efforts at re-establishing political stability in the neighboring Benin Republic. This was when he granted audience to the Beninois leader, President Patrice Talon. State House correspondent Adam Musambo reports.
Nigeria and the Republic of Benin share a lot in common, including historical, cultural, and economic relations that predate colonialism. Although reasons for President Patrice Talon's visit were not made public, NTA News learned that it might not be unconnected with his desire towards enhancing this age-long relationship. During his meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari, which lasted about 2 hours behind closed doors, areas of mutual interest between the two countries were discussed. The Nigerian leader emphasized the imperative of good neighborliness while pledging Nigeria's support towards ensuring that the West African neighbor remains politically stable for sustainable socio-economic development. President Talon, who came to power in April 2016, used the opportunity to congratulate President Muhammadu Buhari on his re-election and successful inauguration. The president's return to power, he emphasized, will not only benefit Nigeria more positively, but also the West African sub-region, as well as the entire continent. He briefed the Nigerian leader on the current political situation in his country and solicited for support. The Beninois leader has since left for his country. In a related development, President Muhammadu Buhari has received a high-powered Sudanese government delegation led by the head of the Security and Defense Committee, Lieutenant General Jamal Eddin Umar Ibrahim. The delegation briefed the president behind closed doors on the political situation in Sudan, the northeastern African nation. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Members of the National Economic Council have been tasked to fashion out effective strategies toward lifting the less privileged Nigerians out of poverty and secure the nation's future for sustainable growth and development. President Muhammadu Buhari, who threw the challenge while inaugurating the National Economic Council, said paying special attention to issues of security, education, health, and agriculture is critical toward guaranteeing a peaceful and prosperous Nigeria. State House correspondent, again Adam Musambo, has the details.
With the Vice President as chairman, the National Economic Council, which has the 36 state governors and some key federal government appointees as members, has a constitutional mandate to advise the President on economic policies, planning and implementation strategies for sustainable growth and development of the country. Inaugurating the council, President Muhammadu Buhari told the members that his administration will continue to rate security of lives and property as top priority of the next level agenda.
We are firmly committed to securing the territorial integrity of our nation while confronting the remnants of terrorists, bandits, and other criminals across the country. There must be collective and deliberate efforts by all to improve the security of lives and properties across the country. You can definitely make a difference, not just by assisting the security agencies in your respective states, but also by keenly pursuing policies and programs that forestall communal, tribal, religious, and societal conflicts.
The president also tasked the state governors to take very seriously and enforce vigorously the constitutional provisions on free, compulsory, and quality basic education so that the future leaders can be protected from the evil influences that assail idle hands and idle minds.
I therefore think every governor here should make a firm commitment to be personally involved in ensuring that every child of school age actually goes to school throughout the crucial 9 years of basic education. It is indeed a crime for any parent to keep his child out of school for this period. On our own part, the federal government will strive to extend the school feeding program, which will not only encourage school enrollment, but also enhance the health and learning capabilities of pupils.
On healthcare, President Buhari said it is in the collective interest of all Nigerians that every citizen gets at least minimal access to primary, preventive and emergency care, as well as doing more towards accelerating agricultural revolution as a viable development enterprise.
The federal government in the last 4 years has demonstrated unwavering inclusiveness in dealing with every state, notwithstanding the political leaning of the governor or the predominant party in power at the state level. I want this to be your model at the state level. No matter which party we belong to, let us shun divisive policies and join hands together for the upliftment of our people.
While restating the high expectations on the council to take Nigeria to the next level, despite the monumental challenges, the president is, however, convinced that the members are more than equal to the task.
As Your Excellency directed at the meeting of the 7th of June, the state governors, we are at today's meeting focusing on the crucial issue of national security, and we will be forwarding the outcome of our deliberations to you very shortly.
The National Economic Council had, in the last 4 years, met 38 times and came up with more than 170 resolutions towards addressing issues of national concern. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Governor Aminu Waziri Tambol has urged the 2019 Batch B Stream 1 Corps members deployed to the state to make good use of the skills acquisition program at the camp to learn trades capable of making them self-reliant even after their service year. He made the call at the swearing-in ceremony of the Corps members held at the NYSC orientation camp, Wamako. Sheikh Muhammad Datti completes the story.
Out of the 2,400 expected Corps members, 1,934 have been registered so far, with 1,049 males and 885 females. Represented by Secretary to the Sokoto State Government Saidu Umar, Governor Tambol challenged the Corps members to see themselves as agents of change, not destruction. He admonished them to embrace the opportunity of entrepreneurship at the camp to equip themselves with skills that can make them self-reliant after the service year.
The NYSC gives vital role in sustaining national integration, social development, and promoting a just and egalitarian society cannot be overemphasized.
Chairman, NYSC Governing Board and Permanent Secretary, Minister of Youth and Sport Development, Muhammad Abubakar Laden, challenged the Corps members to participate actively in the camp activities and strictly adhere to all guidelines. He said a lot of measures have been put in place to ensure the safety of the Corps members, as well as their welfare. NYSC State Coordinator, Mr. Philip Enabure, informed the Corps members that Sokoto is a peaceful state, assuring them of joyful stay. He called on them to be disciplined and not engage themselves in any illicit act like drug abuse, cultism, and other social vices. In Sokoto, Sheikh Muhammad Datti, NTA News.
Independent National Electoral Commissioner in charge of Sokoto, Kebbi, and Zamfara states, Amina Bala Zakari, says the commission is determined to review the operational framework and strategic plan used in 2019 general elections in order to strengthen the conduct of future elections. She stated this during the post-election retreat organized by the commission in Sokoto. Abdurrahman Usman Jibrilla has the details.
The Commission, in its drive for a free and fair election, organized this forum to get the best outcome from its staff and stakeholders. The retreat was to review the conduct of the 2019 elections with a view to consolidating and sustaining the success as well as provide solutions to the challenges in the conduct of future elections. INEC National Commissioner in charge of Sokoto, Kebbi and Zamfara states, Amina Bala Zakari, said the retreat is designed to review the operational framework put in place by the Commission during the just concluded 2019 general elections.
In any assignment, you have to have a review period. You cannot just claim that everything you've planned has gone according to plans. So we need to know what went wrong, what went right, and what we can do to improve for future elections.
INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner in Sokoto State, Sadiq Abubakar Musa, described the retreat as timely, which will enable the Commission correct and strengthen the conduct of future elections. The retreat featured presentation of the 2019 post-election review template, group work and discussions. At the end of the retreat, participants are expected to consolidate on the identifying strategies and successes, aggregate different challenges for policy formulation, as well as harness information and materials for the report of 2019 elections. In Sokoto, Abraham Usman Jibrila, NTA News.
Communities affected by the recent attack by armed bandits in Gandhi Raba local government have been charged to support security agencies with information that will help identify informers and criminal elements among them. Sultan Muhammad Saad Abubakar gave the charge when he visited Gandhi and the Kuria IDP camps in Raba local government. Sheikh Muhammad Datti completes the report.
This is the third time the Sultan is paying sympathy visit to victims of bandit attack in Gandhi Raba local government area. Worried about the lingering attacks, the Sultan was emphatic on the need for affected victims to be vigilant and report any suspicious character to the authorities. The Sultan prayed Allah to grant the deceased eternal rest and good health for the injured. Sultan Saad informed the victims that both state and federal governments are aware of the worrisome situation and are taking steps to address it. At the Gandhi Secondary School IDP camp, sole administrator of Raba local government Abubakar Bala Raba informed the Sultan that the displaced persons are from Malela who ran for the fear of unknown. There are over 12,000 people from over 6 communities taking refuge at the Gandhi and Kuria camps. Currently, 5 injured persons are receiving treatment at Orthopedic Hospital Wamoko, while those at the 2 camps of Gandhi and Kuria are in need of assistance from government and individuals. Village head of Malela, Malay Isa, and that of Kuria, Maman Bello, while thanking the Sultan, called for adequate security to enable them go back to their villages to farm. In Sokoto, Sheikh Muhammad Datti, NTA News.
As this year's farming season commences, farmers in Sokoto have been charged to employ the use of modern farming techniques for quick and better harvest. A crop scientist with Osman Danfodio University, Sokoto, Professor Lawal Abubakar stated this while speaking to NTA News on this year's farming season. Nur Ibrahim reports.
Usually, the first rainfall of the year marks the beginning of the farming season in Sokoto and other parts of northern Nigeria, which is characterized by low rainfall. The story is not different this year. Following heavy downfall, farmers have trooped to their farms full of expectations and hope for a bumper harvest. A visit to some farms in some communities in Sokoto shows farmers busy planting crops, thereby taking advantage of moisture and compost. Despite the National Meteorological Agency's prediction of shortage of rain, the farmers have continued to use their age-long seeds and method of farming due to lack of improved seed and assistance.
Seed is actually responsible for 50% of the agricultural crop production enterprise. So quality seed will certainly yield quality harvest. So once they actually plant grains, then you will know that the produce have actually failed from that day one.
However, experts suggest use of modern trends of farming and the application of improved seedlings will no doubt check the problem of poor and delayed harvest. In Sokoto, Nur Ibrahim, NTA News.
That is it from Sokoto. Back to Abuja for continuation of News Panorama. Good afternoon.
Oh, thank you very much, Dalhatu there. Now, the Nigerian economy now looks promising, and investors across the globe are seeing the country as a fertile land for investment, so none wants to be left out. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, while receiving a delegation of French business community, assured investors of a better deal from government, its agencies, and the good people of the country. State House correspondent Jide Onifade has the details.
Considered as the largest economy on the African continent and one of the fast emerging economies of the world, Nigeria holds the ace in terms of investors' destination. And the reason for this is not far-fetched. One of those is the enabling business environment.
Tremendous dynamism of the people, of the Nigerian economy. The Vice President, His Excellency, talked about the recession, which is over. Now Nigeria is back to growth.
The country is gradually climbing the ladder in the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business global ranking. The country is equally opening its doors to more local and foreign investors.
For my company is to better understand all about the market, not only the consumers, but the regulation, the right people to know, to facilitate the local settlements of a potential facility, and to put a highlight on the contribution, what is possible for France to do in the dairy sector and to contribute to the development of this sector locally in Nigeria.
This delegation, made up of members of Franco-Nigerian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, is being led to the presidential villa by Nigeria's ambassador to France, Modupe Irele, who says the mission is to strengthen the economic relationship between Nigeria and France and to make them understand the processes for setting up business in Nigeria.
Nigeria's initiative of ease of doing business is part of understanding the agencies that are involved, the processes that are involved, and the opportunities, and also to a large extent the responsibilities. It's a two-way relationship. France, Nigeria, Nigeria, France. And this cannot be done with one party very far away. So we've brought them here to see the lay of the land themselves, to meet the key players, and also to get to know Nigerians, business people themselves.
So much for this, and the number is still counting. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NT News.
Irregular migration is assuming a peculiar challenge, not just for Nigeria, but the entire world. Having identified this dynamic problem and the dangers it poses to national security and development in the country, the Institute for Security Studies has organized a seminar for security experts and participants of the Executive Intelligence Management Course 12 2019 to crisscross ideas towards addressing the matter. Joseph Johnson reports.
Irregular migration has been a recurring issue in the news lately, but it is not a strange occurrence. In fact, it has been a hard nut to crack across the globe for decades, given the dynamism of conformity of migrants. Much has also been said about the seasonal movement of people with their cattle or other grazing animals to new pastures. Despite several talks, tales of cattle rustling, banditry and irregular migration, many say, are relatively still on the increase. The Institute for Security Studies is stepping up to combat the challenge. It is for this reason and more that Mr. Usman Umar is joining his 62 colleagues in this seminar on transhumance and international migration, challenges for national security and development in Nigeria.
We are very optimistic that the government will look at it. It will not be an effort in futility.
Discussants have been chosen to make this seminar a worthwhile experience.
We have sufficient policy decision. It is the implementation that is where the problem lies.
It is a fact that whatever affects Nigeria systemically has a multiplier effect on her neighbors and indeed the entire ECOWAS. Having that in mind, proffering solutions to ameliorate the existing challenges is a task the security experts say must be done. Joseph Johnson, NTA News.
In the meantime, the Nigerian local content policy has continued to spread across all sectors, with the Nigerian Army set to launch its pioneer locally manufactured light combat vehicles next month. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, announced this while on operational visit to the Army vehicle manufacturing plant in Kaduna. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports.
This is one of the many light tactical infantry vehicles produced by the Nigerian Army Manufacturing Company. This is the skeleton of a tactical infantry patrol vehicle under construction. The civil-driven plant, in conjunction with the Defense Industry Corporation in Kaduna, also produce weapons for the military and other security agencies.
I know everybody is concerned about the insecurity. But unfortunately, over the years, since 60s, we've not made any serious headway. Local defense production. And I think if this one takes off, as we envisage, we'll no longer cry for any insecurity.
Already, the company is poised to mass produce vehicles for civilians. Another plus for Nigeria's quest to locally produce what the country needs. From the Nigerian Army Vehicle Manufacturing Company in Kaduna, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
And 3 teachers suspected to be involved in examination malpractice are in the custody of the police for investigation. Force Public Relations Officer Frank Mba said their arrest was carried out at different schools by the Cyber Crime Unit of the force with the assistance of West African Examination Council, WAEC. Francis Form has the report.
Asaf is a victim of the activities of Sheila Boys, who mercilessly cut off his hand in one of their operations last year. Today, the police have arrested those involved in the dastardly act against him. The suspects paraded include 65 Sheila Boys who specialize in dispossessing their victims of their valuables using knives and cutlasses, as in the case of Asaf. 86 kidnappers who have constituted nuisance to the communities in Adamawa State, and those who specialize in stealing and buying stolen phones with their accomplice that usually instill anti-tracking device using these laptops.
Whose question paper was utilized in perpetrating that malpractice.
For quite so long, examination bodies struggled to eliminate exam malpractices, which they believe undermine the integrity of the certificate.
The Nigerian police force has evolved new mechanisms for monitoring students as well as invigilators and supervisors, not just during WAEC examinations, but also during NECO and JAMB examinations.
Frank Mba said the suspects will be charged to court at the end of investigation. In Abuja, Francis Form, NTA News.
Thank you, Francis. And we'll now go on a short break. We'll be back with Panorama. Please stay tuned.
The struggle for independence had been a long and tough one. Our founding fathers and compatriots sacrificed their comfort and even shed their blood. We cannot at this point in history afford to spirit away their sacrifices for immediate but temporary gains of today. Let us emphasize what unites and not what divides us. Working for the unity of purpose with a stronger vision for a better tomorrow. NTA, growing with the nation.
Together, no matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together. Let's stop fighting each other. Let us live as one. It doesn't matter where you come from, your tribe or religion, man, woman or child. It doesn't matter who you are. Put Nigeria first. No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together.
How can we develop when we're always in crisis? Families have become refugees in their country. No matter matter our differences, show some understanding.
No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together.
Nigeria, the only country we can train with remarkable potentials to excel. Let us believe in ourselves and change our attitude for the sake of our country and generations unborn. Let us revive our cultural values, which are our essence as a nation. Let us renew the spirit of patriotism and hope in our dear country. Do not take or give bribe. Be punctual always. No more African time. We can't expect to be global citizens and operate on African time. Join the queue. Insist that people are attended to on a first-come basis, no matter who they are or where they come from.
Nigeria, good people, great nation.
Now that's it on Panorama for this week. I am Fatima Umar Buba. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.